insurance company, let's say, is seeing a lot of claims, right? The employer could basically say that, hey, you know what, I cannot pay so much high premium. Let me reduce the benefits.
Is it possible that my parents are covered this year and the next year they will not? There are so many perks which is I believe not available
Absolutely.
in personal health insurance policy. Then why shouldn't I go ahead with
Large companies? I have seen policies of Amazon, right, which is like the largest startup we know. I've seen policies of TCS. They have co-pays, they have conditions in their policies, they have room rent limits in their policies, which are not there in startup policies.
portability is not assured with the corporate policy? Because like I thought ki portability is guaranteed, like I can do it, it's in my hand. I want to quote the policy.
I am planning to buy a t-shirt which will say that employer health insurance is not enough. ये बेशक वाला टी-शर्ट बहुत पहन लिया अभी. I think I should wear that t-shirt.
Hi everyone, welcome to Insurance Unfiltered Season 2. So in this episode, we'll tackle one of the hottest topics, employers' health insurance. So many users who come to our social media platform or people who interact with our experts, they have this doubt in mind or this question regarding employer health insurance and personal health insurance, and how few of the things or certain things they overlap in personal health insurance and corporate health insurance. So to tackle this problem, we have Mahavir today with us. Hi Mahavir. So Mahavir, one question directly to you. If I have already a corporate health insurance, then why should I go for a personal health insurance policy, or should I go for a personal health insurance policy?
Yeah, so this is like a question that I would have answered like millions of times. I am planning to buy a t-shirt which will say that employer health insurance is not enough. ये बेशक वाला t-shirt बहुत पहन लिया अभी. I think I should wear that t-shirt. So there are three major things that are very, very important. In fact, actually there are four major things that are very important. The first is that a company health insurance is a benefit. It's a short-term benefit that an employer wants to give you as a part of their basically their entire rewards and compensation that they're giving you, right? They are not thinking about your personal finance. They are basically looking at it purely from a point of view of providing you a benefit. It is temporary and it is short term. You leave the company, obviously you are also out of the benefit, right? So that's very important to understand. So it's just solving something for a very, very short term. As soon as you leave the company, it stops working for you. And health insurance as such is a very, very long term problem that you need to solve for, right? And the health insurance solves a very long term problem. It solves a problem for long term healthcare, right? And it cannot be solved by a benefit that an employer is giving you, which is a short term benefit. That is the first thing. The second is very, very important to understand is that employer health insurance is in the control of the employer. The CFO sits with the insurance company every year and decides based on the premium that the insurance company is going to charge. The insurance company, let's say, is seeing a lot of claims, right? The employer could basically say that, hey, you know what, I cannot pay so much high premium. Let me reduce the benefits. So there is a lot of balancing that happens between pricing the benefits, right, that the insurance company is ready to offer for that pricing, and the budgets that the CFO of the insurance of the employer would have, right? So when all these things come to picture, I have seen this happening a lot. That gradually the benefits water down, right, in an employer policy. So you may think that you have a great policy and it is covered by, it's giving you great coverages, and definitely there are a lot of benefits of an employer policy, but it does not always work for you in the long term.
Okay, so on both your 2 points, I have questions. So first part, it will be short-term benefit. I'll work till 60. I'll change the company, and I know that I'll work till 60 and I'll retire after 60 and I'll take the policy at that time.
Right.
Then what's the harm in that?
Yeah, so every company may not offer you health insurance, right? Meaning there could be a company that may not offer you health insurance. There are so many companies that may probably be very early stage and they may not have started giving a health insurance to their employees. That is one. The other is there could be a break, right, between you working in one company and then you joining another company. In that break time also there could be a need for some healthcare requirement could come up, right? So all those things basically you will have an issue. And the third very, very important point to understand is that health insurance is not available forever, right? The best health insurance plans are only available when there is a good health and fitness, right? So as soon as you have an issue or you have a health condition, or anybody in your family, let's say you're married and your wife has a condition, the kind of policies that you will get, the kind of deals that you will get from the insurance company, the kind of products that you will get can change significantly. You may have to compromise either on a good product, you may not get a good product, or you may have to compromise on price where you have to pay a higher price. It's not a risk worth taking in my view, where you basically wait till you think that you will always be healthy, and you wait for a long time and basically risk or take an assumption that you will be healthy and hence you will be able to buy a health insurance even later. Like a lot of people
Got
today
it.
on our platform come at 40s and they have a disease now. They have a multiple diseases, like they have a diabetes and thyroid both, right? And they are also overweight, and they are today struggling to get a good health insurance. They want the best health insurance that is available today, a 30-year-old who is young and healthy, but they're not getting that policy. So that's the risk that you should be willing to take, and that assumption is something that I would avoid, that I will get a health insurance as good as I want whenever I want. So though that is a risk that you will be taking, where you think that I have a corporate health insurance, I'll depend on it whenever I want a personal health insurance, it will be available. I don't think that's a risk that you should take.
I get it. For the first 2 points, so I have the counter that I'll join a company which offers health insurance.
Right.
And secondly, the CFO part which you said, with time you have seen that the perks or the benefits of health insurance, employer health insurance keeps on decreasing, which you have seen in general, right?
Right.
But in that, I have a question: ki if the company is growing, then that particular thing should improve, right? And I'll make sure ki because I'll be joining a company, I'll make sure that I'll do my research, because in employer health insurance, many things are covered. Like which I have seen, like
Right.
in my previous company, like my parents were covered. I specifically paid a small amount of premium, and my parents were covered.
Correct.
And many, like my sister told me, like my cousin sister, she told me that in her policy, her maternity is covered.
Correct.
So there are so many perks, which is I believe not available in
Absolutely.
personal health insurance policy. Then why shouldn't I go ahead with corporate health insurance policy?
Right. So the first thing that you mentioned, right, is basically that the policy is only going to get in your view. You think that a corporate, because you're going to join only a larger corporate maybe, or you'll be joining more mature companies, the company benefits will only be better. It's actually reverse, right? The younger the company, the benefits are better, because they are basically not realizing that the benefits have a cost. The larger companies, the matured companies, in fact have average benefits, because they've realized, they've seen that entire learning curve of large claims coming into picture, and hence they have benefits which are lesser than the benefits that a young startup would have. A young startup founder will say, I have dealt with a lot of young startup founders who say, I want my employees to get everything, right? And then the claims come in the first year, and when the claims come is when the insurance company says, what, now the price was 100 when I gave you the policy, now it's 300 rupees, right? And as soon as the price increases, that's when the company matures. The company realizes that, hey, you know what, I'm not going to be able to pay 300 rupees, so what can we do? So they say, okay, fine, your benefits were 3x, now let's reduce your benefits to 1x, right? Large companies, I have seen policies of Amazon, right, which is like the largest startup we know. I've seen policies of TCS. They have co-pays, they have conditions in their policies, they have room rent limits in their policies, which are not there in startup policies, right? Like our policy, Beshak's policy does not have a room rent limit right now, because we are a very small startup, so we can afford to do that. But an Amazon cannot do that, because it's a very, very large company, and hence will have to work on little seasoned benefits for their employees, and cannot be like open benefits like what we give today as a small company.
Nice. So this I didn't thought of. What about the thing which I told ki it covers multiple things? You told about certain terms and conditions, I get it, but it covers maternity, right?
Yeah.
So I do not have to think about these conditions which personal health insurance policy have.
Yeah.
So then why shouldn't?
So there are a lot of benefits with company health insurance that definitely cannot be compared to a retail health insurance. Like you rightly said, maternity. Maternity will be covered immediately, or as soon as the employee joins in 9 months, it can get covered. Then basically pre-existing diseases are covered from day zero. Right, you do not have to go for a medical test in case of a company health insurance. Even parents don't need to go through that. You don't need to fill any forms. Your claims are also very easy. All this is great, but again, it is a benefit, right? And it is available for a short-term period of time. So you enjoy it as much as you're there in those companies. And if you are clear that you're going to be there only working in employers where there will be health insurance, you're ready to take that risk, then definitely the solutions that you need could be slightly different from, let's say, a person who does not want to take that risk. Right? The other aspect is, why does this happen? Why do employer health insurance policies have better terms and conditions? There is a reason behind that, because how a company, an insurance company, looks at an employer is that they look at probabilities within that group. Right? So they are basically looking at it, okay, so many people working in the company, out of that so many people are above 40, so they are not going to mostly claim for maternity. So many people are younger than 25, they're not married, so they're not going to take up maternity. So their probability works and
Got it.
premiums are paid for all of them. So they're able to play out that and give you an
Got it.
insurance.
Got
But
it.
a policy which is a retail policy, which is available online, or let's say it's
Mhm.
available in the open market,
Mhm.
will attract people who are looking at a maternity claim. Right? This is not a policy where you're opting into maternity. The maternity is available as a part of your employer-employee relationship, and that's why the probability in itself works for the employer-employee kind of a relationship. But when it is an outside policy, right? It's an external policy, a retail employee, a retail customer is going and buying it, then there is something called anti-selection that happens. Right? What anti-selection means is that only people who need a maternity policy will go and buy a maternity policy. Right?
Okay.
And hence,
again, like I didn't get it. Only people who need maternity.
so when I'm looking at a full market,
Okay.
I keep a product open in the market,
Okay.
right? And I say maternity is covered. Who will buy maternity policy?
Those who require
Maternity policy,
need,
right? But premiums, what an insurance company will get only from people who need or are planning a maternity, right? They're planning to become parents, right? How will you charge a premium for such policies? Because everybody is going to claim. If everybody is going to claim, an insurance company is not going to be able to play out probability.
Yeah.
And if everybody is going to claim, the premium of it would be almost equal to the cover, right? When it comes to an employer-employee relationship, and I'm giving it as a benefit, there is a clarity that so many people in this company are getting it for free, right?
Got it.
And they're not going to claim for it because probably they're not even parents, they're not even married, or they're not planning a baby. And there would be some people who are higher in their age group and already have kids, right? So there is a probability that plays out, and then the price for maternity becomes cheaper in a corporate policy, and it can be embedded in the overall benefits that an employer wants to give an employee. Right? Okay. And that's why it works out. Same is for pre-existing disease, right? If I give it out in the retail, right, and I say that it is available, तो सिर्फ जिसको pre-existing का issue है वही जाके खरीदेगा. यहाँ पे सबको मिल रहा है. When everybody gets it, the price automatically flattens out. And that is what a lot of people don't know. Yeah.
Got it. So you also talked about certain things which aren't covered or aren't part of the corporate policy or the employer policy. So what are some of the terms and conditions which me personally or anybody who is thinking about employer's policy needs to watch out for?
Yeah. So in a personal health insurance, basically today you have options where you can get a policy where there is no room rent limit, right? Your room that is available in a hospital, when you choose a room, you do not have a eligibility limit. You can basically take any room, right? And a good comprehensive policy will not have any limits. But an employer policy will have a room rent limit. It could have a room rent limit of, let's say, 3,000, 4,000 rupees per night. Or it could have a room rent limit which would say that only private rooms are covered. Right? As soon as that comes out, we have discussed this in other podcasts, and people can look at it, go online and look at it about how room rent limit impacts the overall cover. But in short, it significantly impacts the amount of claim that you can make, right, compared to the hospital bill that you get. So that's one thing. The second is there could be copays. A copay is basically a share in the claim amount, the admissible claim amount that you will have to pay. So you always have a share that you need to pay. Even large companies that I just named have such copays where you have to share certain amount. Specifically, parents' policies have these things, right? So they would have some kind of limitation. There could be limitations on what kind of hospitals you can go, and there could be a list of hospitals where you could probably get 100% of the claim amount, and if you go outside that, then you could probably get 80% of the claim amount. So it's that is the copay that I'm talking about. So how that works is basically that insurance company and the CFO are basically working out benefits which are good for employees. At the same time, it is good for the employer in terms of the budget constraints that they have, right? So that benefits are basically played out or balanced out based on the premium, like I already mentioned.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. Like if I want to go for a claim, like if I'll claim in a hospital, my claim will be 100%.
Yes.
But I claim in a B hospital, then I have to pay 20%.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example. I've seen this happening with my own brother, right? So my brother worked for Infosys about 10 years ago, if I'm not wrong. And there was a clause which said that if you are having a very, very regular surgery, which a general surgeon does, like basically which is called, like, let's say, surgery for kidney stone, for example, right? Or piles, right? Or sinusitis. And you're getting it done in the tertiary care hospital, which is the largest kind of hospital. So you have a basic surgery, which I can get it done through a smaller hospital, but I'm going to the largest hospital. Then the insurance company is saying that I will put a copay in that policy. Right? The logic of that is that the overheads in a tertiary hospital are very high. As soon as the tertiary care hospital में अगर आप जाके kidney stone कराओगे, and you compare that to doing a kidney stone surgery in a basic hospital, and a good hospital but a regular local hospital, the charges are going to be significantly different because the overheads are very high in a
Got it.
tertiary care
Got
hospital.
it.
So how did this come about, right? They would have seen, and they would that a lot of employees, because they are getting a cover from their employer, they are basically going to the best hospitals even for smaller treatments. So how
Okay.
do they create this thing?
Got it.
Right? So this is like a disincentive or a gamification that has been done. That if you go for a large hospital where the claim amount is going to be significantly high because it's a hospital which is for actually very senior major treatments, you're going for a smaller treatment, then I will put a copay where I'll say that 20% of the claim amount will have to be shared by you. Right? And this has actually happened in my family. So this is like one example. There are a lot of things. So every time there is a renewal of this policy that happens, right, between the employer and the insurance company, there's a mail that HR sends, right, which is basically a PPT kind of a presentation that the HR sends, which has all the details of the terms and conditions. Unfortunately, nobody opens that. Like if you go to the slide number 5 or slide number 6, which will have terms and conditions, and you look at it carefully, you will see whatever I have mentioned definitely being there, right? So there would be room rent limit, there would be copay, there would be treatment limits, which will say that certain treatments we will pay only X amount of money, right? Like for example, cataract will only pay 50,000 rupees, or for a specific surgery, let's say knee replacement, we'll pay only 2 lakh rupees, right? Those kind of things. And there are multiple such terms and conditions. The very creatively made policy because of the kind of cost that it incurs for the employer.
Is this particular thing also with the personal health insurance policy? Like if I go with a large hospital, the amount will be paid 80%, and if I go with the same hospital with
Like
less
basically you're saying
charges.
that there could be a differential treatment, you're saying. Yeah, meaning differential pricing or differential claim amount that you could get. Very few policies have this, where basically insurance companies create like a preferred network, and when you go to the preferred network, they give you better benefits, right, compared to if you go outside that preferred network. The idea is that because insurance companies also do a bulk kind of a negotiation with these hospitals, saying that I'll send patients to you, and hence you charge me lesser, right, and hence the insurance company is transferring that benefit to the customer, right, in the retail policy. Sometimes it is reverse, where they say that if you choose PPN, like it's called preferred provider network, in the insurance policy, in a private, like a personal health insurance policy, you'll get a discount, right? You can actually take only that I will go to only these hospitals, then I'll get a discount instead of it being reverse. Right? So basically insurance companies have created this, but usually when you go for default, then in default, most of the comprehensive health insurance policies that a youngster would need, a healthy fit youngster would need, would not have such kind of terms and conditions.
So Mahavir, let's take a scenario. I know that my mom and dad in the near future, they will require hospitalization. So definitely there will be a need for health insurance. And I know that company policy and the personal health insurance policy, both are expensive. But in the company policy, as you told, there is very less waiting period.
Correct.
So which policy should I opt for?
Yeah, so if you're looking at solving for short term, right, and you're looking at something where there is a near visibility about a claim that is going to come, right? If let's say if I am buying a policy today, and I have a choice of buying a personal policy, and I have a choice of buying a company policy, and a company policy is going to give me an immediate claim, versus my personal policy is going to ask me to wait for a certain period of time, and I know for a fact that I need to make a claim immediately, then obviously then you should go for a company policy and make a claim through that policy, obviously, because it is going to be beneficial for you. Right? But this will solve a short term problem for you, right? In the long run, you will still need to solve for personal finance and your long term healthcare expenses for you and your parents, and that's where you will have to basically evaluate the need of having a personal health insurance as a parallel to the policy that you're taking from the company, or switching off the company's health insurance that you're getting basically for your parents, and taking a personal health insurance maybe later when they're hale and hearty.
Got it. And so one more thing in this, I'm 30, I'll turn 30 in 1 or 2 years. I'll be working till 60. And my parents, they are 55 right now. So they'll be when I will be 60, they'll be 60, 85, 90. So will the corporate policy not solve for the long term?
So basically, it will solve for the long term. How are you defining? How are you looking at this? Meaning, can you explain?
For example, I know that I'll work till 60, and the corporate policy has more perks for the parent policy that I know.
Yeah.
So my parents are currently 55, let's say. So if I'll work till 60, so from 30 to 60, that is 30 years.
Correct.
So my parents, they will be 85 at that
Correct.
time. So will the
So
corporate
if you're,
policy?
see, the assumption that you're making is that you'll never lose your job. The assumption you're making is that you'll always be working in an organization which is giving a parent's health insurance. The assumption you're making is that you will not take a call of working in an organization where there's no health insurance or starting on your own. There are so many assumptions that you're making. All those assumptions, you need to put it in a document
Got
first,
it.
and then see all those assumptions and evaluate whether those assumptions are going to be holding true for the number of years that you're mentioning. You're saying 30 today. You will be 50, 55 when your parents will be, let's say, whatever age you said, 85, right? I think you said. So at that utna period of time, you're making assumptions which
Got
may not work out, right? You
Got
may
it.
not be working in an organization. You may be deciding that you want to become a freelancer. I'm talking not about you, I'm talking about generally people.
Yes.
Or you may be deciding that I will work for an organization, another organization, and that organization does not have health insurance.
Got it.
Right? All those scenarios will come into picture. A lot of companies do not offer parents health insurance, right? Because it is very expensive, or it is not offered in a smaller group of people. It is offered only in a larger group of employees, right? It typically requires at least an employer to have 300, 400 employees, so that at least 50 parents are getting covered, or 70, 80 parents are getting covered, or there's a coverage requirement that an insurance company has from the employer कि इतने minimum percentage of people should cover their parents, only then they will give parents insurance. And it is getting trickier by the day, right? Parents insurance is very expensive, not only for the employee, it is also very expensive for the insurance company, because they have to pay claims without any waiting periods.
Got it.
So it is always a very complicated push and pull between premiums, benefits, long term coverages and all that. So taking a call on something which is as sensitive as parents insurance and depending only on a policy that your company is giving is something that I would not recommend anybody should take that call.
Got it. And also, is it like my company's CFO, because policy is, it's an annual policy, so as you said, the CFO of the company, they will look at the policy.
Yeah.
So is it possible that my parents are covered this year and the next year they will not be?
Yes. So that has happened, right? Meaning, see, 22 years ago, parents' health insurance used to be free, right? Employers used to pay for parents' health insurance, right? I have seen it with my own eyes where parents' health insurance used to be something that was available as a part of the benefit that an employer was giving an employee. Cut to today, it is available as a voluntary cover, right? Why has this happened? Because parents' health insurance is very expensive, right? So when that is happening, if this can happen, it can also reach a position where an insurance company can say कि भाई मैं voluntary भी नहीं दे रहा हूँ, because parents health insurance is very a bleeding portfolio for me. Next year onwards, I will not give parents health insurance, or I will give parents health insurance with co-pays, with deductibles, with a lot of limits and all that, but the premium is the same, or the premium is very high. So you are completely in control of how the CFO is looking at it, how the insurance company's CFO is looking at it, how claims are operating in your company, how others are making claims in your company. All that is coming into picture, and this is going to impact something which is so personal for you, which is personal healthcare. So the external forces that will come to play over something that you want a personal control over is something that is completely, like, it does not match, right? And that's why it's important that for the short term you could take a call of taking a personal health for the short term you could take a call of taking a company health insurance for your parents, right? Because you want to basically make a claim in the short term, like there is a visibility of some hospitalization, but in the long run definitely it is not going to play out.
Okay. And the same thing is valid for maternity also. Like I've joined and after 1 year my company says okay, I will not be covering maternity. So
yeah, usually in large companies it will not happen, but it can happen that the benefit can be reduced, right? So see, please understand that all company health insurance policies are 1 year policies, and all the benefits, all the conditions and the pricing basically gets reviewed every year between the HR head, the CFO of the company and the insurance company, right? And depending upon the claims that have happened in the previous year, depending upon how insurance company wants to look at the pricing, the benefits could undergo a change, the terms and conditions could be increased. So abhi मैं दे रहा हूँ कि चलो maternity is available till 1 lakh, I may reduce it to 50,000, or I may reduce it to 40,000, or I
Got
may
it.
include a copay in the maternity. And people who are watching this show, I'm telling you, a lot of people would have seen this happening, that there was some benefit that was given. And if they work for 10 years in that company or 5 years in their company, they would have seen the benefits going down. For certain benefits, the benefits should have gone down. The reason is this negotiation happens every year. It's a push and pull negotiation that happens between parties, right? So that in this kind of a scenario, when you know this is something that is going to be happening and you're not part of that decision making, but healthcare is your personal thing, right? You are basically solving for your own personal healthcare, for your parents' healthcare, right? And something that you are not part of is going to impact this.
Yes.
Is not a good scenario to be in. And hence having a control over it on your own is very important, and hence having your own personal health insurance and having your own personal health insurance for your parents becomes very, very important in the long run. Short term is different, but long term, definitely you need to have a policy of your own.
So are you saying that portability is not assured with the corporate policy? Because like I thought ki portability is guaranteed, like I can do it, it's in my hand, na? I want to port the policy. So
right. No, so how portability works in a corporate health insurance is that first of all, you can move from a corporate health insurance to a retail health insurance in the same insurance company, right? First of all, you cannot move to another insurance company. So let's say the corporate health insurance is from a company called ABCD, then your retail health insurance will also be in ABCD. That's the first rule. The second rule is the same insurance company can basically evaluate your health conditions, can evaluate based on your previous claims and all the medical history that you have, and decide whether they want to port you or not. No insurance company assures you that they will port you from a group health insurance policy that your employer claims to a personal health insurance that is given by the same insurance company. They will do an evaluation. The reason why they need to do this is because when the company is giving you a policy, it is given to you as a group, right? But that time there is a lot of less amount of evaluation that is done on a single person health history, medical history. There's no form that you need to fill. It's a very quick enrollment that happens. But when you're moving from that group into an individual cover, the insurance company will have to do the exact checks that they would have done if you would have bought a personal policy. So when you're buying a retail policy, or you're moving or migrating from a company policy to a retail policy, in a sense you are buying a retail policy at that time with continuity benefits, right? And hence an insurance company will gatekeep at that time and say that, hey, wait, I need to evaluate your medical history, all your claims, and then decide based on all these things plus the age group of the people that you want to cover, and then decide whether to give you a cover or not. Specifically parents insurance, it's very, very complicated, and it's not very easy to move from a company policy to a retail policy.
That's what I was coming for. I'll port my parents' policy. But so the rejection rates will be high. Like I believe, because high. Like I also got the policy, but no medical test done. Nothing was done. Right?
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So always, and anything that has great easy entry, exit could be difficult.
Very, very difficult. Got it. So one thing, Mahavir, like again, I'll stick to, but I understand that personal health insurance policy is important, but still, like I see the benefits of corporate policy are there, right?
Yes, of course.
So, like for example, if let's say I have a corporate health insurance policy cover of 5 lakh,
right?
I'll go ahead with the top up plan.
Yeah.
Like by the age of 60, I'll have I can pay 5 lakh from my pocket, right?
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and buy a top up plan.
Correct.
What's bad in that?
Yeah. So if you are very clear that you would be able to pay 5 lakhs every year from your pocket whenever there is a health requirement that happens, or a medical bill or a hospital bill that happens, then there's no issue. Then of course you can go for a top up. The whole idea of top up is that you're saying that under that amount, the top up amount that starts below that, you're saying that I can pay from my pocket, right? Or I can pay from another policy. So what you need to understand before you do that calculation is that you're talking about not 5 lakh rupees, but you're talking about 5 lakh rupees multiplied by the number of years that you will not have a health insurance of your own, right? So if I'm going to retire, let's say at 60, and I'm porting from a company policy to a retail policy, I'm not able to do that, but I have my personal top up, right? Then what happens is that I will have, let's say I have a 5 lakhs plus top up. So 5 lakhs plus, let's say 95 lakhs, let's say 1 crore ka policy leke rakha hai. Every year, if I have a claim less than 5 lakhs, my top up is not going to pay for it. Right? Yes. Only when my claim goes above 5 lakhs, then whatever amount is above 5 lakhs is what my insurance company is going to pay. right? So if you're clear about this, then yes, of course, you can always choose a top-up policy, not have a retail policy, and be covered for that amount which is significant, and the lower amount is something that you are saying that I will be able to take care of with my savings or my wealth.
Mahavir, I heard of something called a super top up. So
Yeah.
top up, I know, but is super top up both same thing?
No, of course not. So super top up actually is the top up that I was talking about. Typically, super top up and top up are two different kind of products. Super top up
Okay.
is a policy where they say that the calculation of the threshold amount which is not payable by the insurance company. So let's say हम बात करें for a top up which starts from 5,01,000 to let's say 1 crore.
Okay.
So the 5 lakh calculation, right,
Mhm.
in a super top up basically will happen basis number of hospitalization. There could be multiple number of hospitalization that could have happened in a 1 year. The total of the year's expense should be more than 5 lakhs for an insurance company to pay, right?
Okay.
So it's a calculation which is annual, right?
Got it.
In case of top up, the calculation is per hospitalization. So it will say कि एक bill 5 लाख के ऊपर होगा तो I will pay, right? If the
Okay.
bill is above less than 5 lakhs, even if there are 10 bills that happen in a year, all bills are less than 5 lakhs, then it will not pay, right?
Got
The
it.
super top up will work very differently. मैंने first bill 2 lakh का हुआ, then
Mhm.
next bill is 1 lakh, super top up will not work. Then next bill is let's say 4 lakhs, right? Then it will start
Nice.
triggering. But
Okay.
in the top up case, all the three policies it will not basically trigger, right? So
Got it.
top up is usually right now very rarely available. Most of the policies that we're talking about today are mostly called super top up policies. Whenever you're looking at basically whether it's a top up and super top up, नाम से नहीं जाने की जरूरत है because names can be actually misleading. What you need to look for is annual deductible. If it
Got
says annual deductible, that means the deductible is calculated at an annual level.
Okay, so basically, I was thinking of super top up, but I said top up. That's why.
Yeah, I also use the word
okay,
top up a lot
yeah.
because today super top ups are the ones that are usually available, right? Top ups have become little top ups which basically were the ones which have a per hospitalization deductible are not the policies that are typically available today. Most of the policies that are available are the annual deductible policies, and hence I
Got it.
keep
got it, got it.
interchangingly using the words top up and super top up.
So I got it about super top up. So majority of the people they go with the super top up
Yeah.
in general, right? So Mahavir, one more thing because like it's tax time right now. Like we are closing March, right? Many of the many people they will be filing ITR. So is there any benefit of corporate policy in comparison to personal health insurance policy in terms of tax when we claim? Like
Yeah.
is there anything which we need to see?
So all personal health insurance policies definitely have a deduction that that is available, which is under 80D, right? Where you basically can claim the premium that you pay for personal health insurance into your income tax and then get a deduction, right? All the premiums that are paid by the employer for you and you're getting a free cover, right? That definitely you're not paying for, so you cannot get a deduction. The third is where you are opting for something which the employer is facilitating, but you are paying for it, like basically a top up, right? Or basically, let's say a parents policy, right? That you're taking.
Okay.
Those an insurance company and the employer could work together to create receipts, right? Which you can be used by you for filing your income tax and give it as a declaration in when you're giving it to your HR for basically 80D purposes. That is something that you may have to ask for in some companies.
Okay.
And some companies it could already be a part of the system where they automatically issue 80D receipts.
Got
right?
it.
Three types of basically things are there. One is a policy that you're getting for free from the employer. That is obviously something that you cannot get a deduction for. The second is the voluntary top-ups or you get from your employer, or the parents policy that you get from your employer. There you are paying, so you will have to basically ask for 80D receipt from your employer, and then you can basically use it for declarations or for filing your income tax. The third is where you are only paying for your health insurance. There, as a part of the process of the insurance companies, they will give you an 80D receipt. So it will work out that way.
So Mahavir, you told ki employer can also facilitate the top-ups which the employee can pay from their pocket.
Yeah.
Because earlier I asked, so I had in mind ki I'll take the top-up plan from my pocket. So this thing is also that I didn't know about. What is it and is it beneficial for the employee?
Yeah, so basically I'll just explain how this works first. So an employer basically can give a base cover to the employee, which could be paid by the employer, right? कि मैं एक 5 लाख रुपए का cover I am giving as a benefit, which is
Got
being paid by the employer themselves, and then basis the insurance company's deal that they've created with the employer, there could be additional benefits that could be available, right? Which is
Okay.
basically one of the benefits is a top-up benefit.
Hmm.
The top-up benefit is where they are saying that above 5 lakhs you pay and take a higher cover. तो आपको लग रहा है 5 लाख बहुत कम है, you pay an additional amount and you take a higher cover. So 5 lakhs के ऊपर
Okay.
20 lakhs कर दो उसको, right? A lot of it is very simple. It's very easy to buy that cover because you just have to click yes, I want it, and the employer will deduct it from your salary, right? But it is not beneficial in my view, right? It is not
Okay.
beneficial definitely, but the reason is that you are going to pay premium for it, right? And then you are getting a policy which is short term, right?
Okay.
There's no point of paying premium for something and then having it short term. It might as well, while you're young and healthy, buy a top up from outside and have it for long term for your own self, right?
Okay.
Then buying it because it's convenient and easy and your employer is offering it. Because as soon as you leave the company, the top up basically is not going to be there for you, right?
Got
And
it.
then you will have to again look for health insurance at that time. The better solution is all the policies that you are planning to pay for from the employer. First, you should try to see if you can get it on your own, on your personal account, without linking it to your employer. If you're not getting it, right, in those situations, you could basically look at having it from your employer. I'll give an example, right?
Got it.
Let's say someone's parents have major diseases,
Okay.
right? And they're not getting a health insurance from outside, right? Then they should buy a parent's health insurance from the employer because they're getting covered for short term at least, right? A lot of people, in fact, in the US and even in India today, work for companies because they have a parent's health insurance and they want to take care of their parents today,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Because it's so expensive,
Yes.
right? And they're not getting a health insurance for your parents, right? So that is one reason where employer health insurance could be beneficial because you're not getting an external policy or a personal policy. Similarly, if I'm not getting a top up from outside because of a medical history or because of some issue in my family, right, which is basically related to, let's say someone's son has some illness for because of which they're not getting a policy, right? Or there is a medical history or there is a hospitalization history because of which they're not getting a policy. In that situation, then to even have a short term policy instead of having no policy is always going to be better.
Better option.
So in those situations, you could look at basically having to choose for a policy that you're paying for through an employer and then taking coverage. But if there is a clear choice between the two and both are available, then go for a long-term personal health insurance, even if it has waiting periods, even if it is difficult to get, compared to taking something which is short-term and you're going to pay a premium even there.
Why do company, let's say I can get the top up?
Yeah.
So why is company giving me the option for top up? Because I'll take it from outside now.
Yeah, because it
why
is
should I-
easy. So I am an employer. I'm basically just creating facilities for my employee, basically understanding that there could be a need for higher coverage, right?
Okay.
So I am giving those benefits, but obviously you have to take your own decisions as an employee, right? An employee, the insurance company is also basically someone who's creating these products because they want to upsell, right?
Okay.
So if I'm an insurance company and I'm dealing with your employer, and the employer is basically giving me so much premium, let's say they're giving me 5 crores premium, and I am having I want to increase that premium, right? So I will create a top up product where I will try to give it at a cheaper price and create an attractive scheme. It is like an upsell product for the insurance company working with the employee and employer, saying that ये एडिशनल ले लो तो इतना फ्री में मिल जाएगा, इतना सस्ते में मिल जाएगा. दिस इज अ डील दैट यू आर ऑफरिंग, राइट? But from an employee perspective, it is not solving for long-term personal finance, like I said, and hence it does not make sense unless that is the only option you have.
Okay, the chances are high that the same top up plan he or she might be getting outside will have higher premium in comparison to he or
That
she.
could be possible, yes.
Okay.
That could be possible because insurance companies could carve out a deal for a specific cohort of employees, saying that acha ye to sare young employees hai, I'm giving a special discount, or they have a different rating product, right? Meaning they have a different rating methodology how they charge for group insurance products compared to retail health insurance products because their dynamics are very different. Pricing could be different for sure. Parents health insurance में अभी ऐसा हो गया है बहुत जगह पे where parents health insurance is more expensive, like I said earlier also, with corporates than buying it outside.
Okay. And will these top up plans or super top up, they also offer super top up?
Yes.
Okay, so these top up super top ups, like they also get ported at the time of, like, let's say ki I
Hmm.
want to port the policy,
Yes.
so they will also get ported?
Technically, yes. Super top up also can get ported,
Okay.
but it will have the same conditions. If you have a
Got it.
major medical history,
Hmm.
or you have something where there is some existing health condition, or there's a claim, that insurance company can decide not to give you a portability on super top up.
So Mahavir, I got all the pointers, like the difference between corporate and personal health insurance policy. Now let's talk about the most important thing, for which we buy policy, the claims. What is the difference? If I take corporate policy, the claims are smoother, or in case of personal health insurance policy, the
Yeah.
claims are smoother?
The claims will definitely always be smoother in a company policy. There are 2-3 major reasons for that. One of it is, like I said, that they do not have so many conditions, right? The waiting period conditions are not there, and because there are no waiting period conditions, it becomes a very smooth kind of a process for the insurance company. That is one. The second is, there is a clear escalation available, right? If I am an employee and my claim is not happening, I'm sitting in the hospital and my claim is not happening, I can call up HR.
Yes.
Right? And my HR would know the right person in the insurance company, and they will basically ensure that there is a movement and I can get my claim approved. In case when an employee is basically buying a personal policy, there is a situation where, let's say, they'll have to deal with toll-free numbers, right? Or they will have to basically write an email, or they will have to basically use an app of the insurance company. Exactly why we always recommend, यहाँ पे HR है help करने के लिए, but when you're buying your own policy, ensure that you have an expert on your side who will work like that HR and would know the right people, and would also ensure that whenever there is a claim, they know and we are able to talk to the right people and get your claims processed. Or if there is a dispute, they can help you with that dispute. They know the insurance language, so they can talk in the insurance language. They know how to get things done from the hospital also, because they look at claims every day, right? Sorry, we are digressing, but it's very important to explain this difference, because
got it.
a person, when it's looking at an employer policy, they are seeing that an HR is intervening, but when they're buying their own policy for some 5% discount, they're buying it directly, and then there is no person to help them at that time, at the time of claims, and then they basically somehow kind of feel that insurance does not work. But it will work if you have the right people to help you at the time of claims.
I'll give you one example in this. In my previous organization, one of my colleagues, he met with an accident and he got a surgery done. There was some issue with his claims. He get in touch with the HR, and HR got in touch with the CFO, all the insurance company, etc., etc. Still, there were issues in the claims. So this colleague of mine, like, he had an advisor. An advisor means he had someone in the family who was doing insurance.
From insurance.
Yes. So he was doing it for more than 15 plus years. Like, he is 40, 41. He was 40, 41, my colleague. So his cousin also doing it for 12 years. Even the thing which HR couldn't solve, that person solved.
Exactly.
So it's very, very important, which you said,
Yeah.
the expert.
How much does an HR know about health insurance, right? Their core job is not health insurance. Their core job is managing people, ensuring people are happy, ensuring a lot of policies are put in place so that less friction happens in the organization, good work happens, good environment is there. One part of their job is basically ensuring that there is a good health insurance, right? There are good benefits for employees. Whereas that, when you compare it to an expert who is only focused on personal finance, or is focused on insurance, has 15 years of experience in that, definitely that person would know better, would know the right people, would know how to basically tackle problems.
Got it. Okay, so you said everything. I bought personal health insurance policy, right? Now the claim comes. And as we have discussed, like, I got to know that claiming through my corporate policy is easier in comparison to personal health insurance policy. When the claim comes, which one should I go for?
It's not an easy answer, actually. It's not an answer, very, very easy or quick answer that I would give, or someone would give, is that go through the company policy, right? But depending upon the type of claim that you have, it could differ also. Let's say I have completed my waiting periods in my personal policy, right? And my personal policy is more comprehensive, right? It is also having better benefits. Like I said, that a company policy could have co-pays, a company policy could have room rent limits. If I want to give better care to my family, right, and it is a major hospitalization, I could actually recommend that you go and claim from your own policy instead of your company's policy, right? only in situations where a company policy will only pay and your
Mhm.
own policy won't pay, right? In those situations, I would typically recommend that you go for your company policies claim. One more thing
Okay.
is that a lot of times when both policies, let's say, are equal,
Mhm.
right? Company policies also does not have any room rent limit.
Okay.
Company policy also is giving all covers, right?
Mhm.
And your personal policy also is giving all covers, right? Then obviously go for the company policies claim. The reason being is that the company's policy will pay for it, right? Your personal policy would have a no claim bonus. So if you don't claim from it, next year you'll get a no claim bonus, right? So always basis
Yes.
that you'll have to decide on case to case basis.
Got it.
Default, obviously, company sounds more logical to go for a
Mhm.
company's policies claim, but look at the benefits of both, look at the waiting periods of both, look at what you are making as a claim, and
Mhm.
then basis all this, take a decision.
Got it. And if let's say ki I got the claim, I have my employer policy for 5 lakh.
Hmm.
The claim amount is let's say 6 lakh.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
5 lakh, let's say it's covered through the employer
Correct.
policy.
Correct.
Can I, that 1 lakh, extra 1 lakh, can I pay it from my personal health insurance
Yes,
policy?
absolutely. So these policies can be used in as an add-on, right? So if you have a
Okay.
company policy of let's say 5 lakhs,
Mhm.
the claim is for 6 lakhs.
Mhm.
So whatever is being paid by your company's policy, that after that is paid. If there is anything that is not paid by the company policy, you can claim it from your personal policy. In fact, all the deductions that you're going to have from your company policy also can be claimed from your personal policy. So for example,
Mhm.
I have a policy of let's say 3 lakh rupees
Okay.
from your company, and there is a room rent limit, right? And there is some other deduction also. 50,000 रुपया कट गया, right? For some reason 50,000 rupees got deducted. I can still make a claim of the same hospitalization with
Mhm.
my personal health insurance company, right? And they will do all the calculations. Then they will just minus whatever has been paid by my
Mhm.
company's policy, sorry,
Okay.
and then they will pay the remaining amount, right? So insurance
Okay.
companies basically are saying that I am going to calculate, whoever I'm going to, an insurance
Mhm.
company is going to do two calculations. One calculation is how much I would have paid, right? Basis my terms and conditions that they will calculate, and how much has already been benefited or how much has already been claimed from some other company, that they will minus, and then they are supposed to pay the remaining amount that
Okay.
way.
So
Insurance company को तो फायदा ही है because you've claimed from someone else, so I am going to give you the benefit of that, that you've claimed from somewhere else, and I will pay you the remaining amount. Like मैंने आपको एक एग्जांपल दिया कि कोई इंश्योरेंस कंपनी है जिसमें लेट्स से रूम रेंट नहीं लेते, थोड़ा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड हो जाएगा. लेट्स से किडनी स्टोन का लिमिट है,
okay.
राइट, 2 lakhs का लिमिट है और 3 लाख का क्लेम है.
Mhm.
So I made 2 lakhs का क्लेम फ्रॉम माय कंपनी पॉलिसी, right? And then I make that same claim and with my
Personal health
my
insurance
personal health
policy.
insurance. My personal health insurance does not have a limit. They will calculate that I would have paid 3 lakhs. The customer has already received 2 lakhs from their employer's policy, and they will pay the remaining 1 lakh.
So this is best. Like I
Yeah.
should have both the policies. Like if I can claim.
Correct.
Are there any hidden terms and conditions like with the personal health insurance policy? Let's say I have claimed through my company policy, but there aren't any terms and conditions.
There are no terms and conditions as such, meaning
I need
basically,
to.
like I said, and personal health insurance company will look at it as a claim that they would have paid. First calculate
Okay.
that
Okay.
and just subtract whatever you have received from the company's
That's
policy. That's it. And then they will make the payment.
And no need to buy from the same company.
No, nothing like
Nothing.
that.
Nothing
No,
as
no,
such.
nothing.
Okay. Perfect. So one more thing in this, like, will the same thing work for cashless claims also? Like, for example, there is cashless claim through my corporate policy.
Yeah.
Can the same be implemented for the personal health insurance
Yeah,
policy?
basically the question that you're trying to ask is that if I have two policies, one is a company policy and one is a personal health insurance policy, can I claim cashless from both?
Both.
So typically, administratively, it is slightly difficult, basically, because typically today hospitalizations are happening between 2 to 3 days only, right? In that 2 to 3 days time, that time span, cashless from a corporate health insurance itself will take that kind of time, right? If you have a little more time or the insurance company is very efficient and the hospital is also very efficient, yes, you can claim cashless from two insurance companies together, right? So you basically at the beginning only, if you have an estimate which clearly states that your company health insurance is not going to be enough, right, and you know it's not going to be enough, you can give both the policies to your hospital and tell them that I will claim some from here, some from here. So they will start processing cashless with both, right? The first part of it will be paid by the company, and after that company's part has been paid, then that cashless will operate from the hospital, do the processing with the personal health insurance company, and then they will pay the remaining amount. But as I said, on ground, it will require a very smart hospital staff, and also the insurance company has to be efficient to give a quick turnaround for
Hmm.
these to work
Mhm.
together. Typically, what happens is that you opt for cashless for one policy and offer reimbursement in the second policy.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. So Mahavir, we got all the doubts cleared. Quickly, can you summarize for a 28, 30-year-old person who is watching out there?
Sure, sure. So basically, how to look at personal health insurance is that it is solving your personal finance problem, right? It is basically solving your long-term personal finance, where it is going to be with you all your life along with you, right? So basically, when you are buying a health insurance, it's a lifetime cover. When you're buying a term insurance, it is a cover again for your life, right? And it is with you always. So never try to substitute, right, a personal finance tool which is a health insurance of your own or a term insurance of your own with something that you're getting as a benefit from your employer. Look at the benefits that you're getting from an employer as additional bonus benefits that you're getting, and use them smartly wherever you think they are better for you compared to a personal health insurance. So do not compromise on your personal finance basis whatever your employer is giving you, because understand that it is going to be short term and not available for you forever.
Got it. Thanks a lot, Mahavir. So I hope all the viewers out there, you got your doubts cleared. If not, drop it in the comments and we'll make sure we'll answer all your doubts. Thanks a lot for watching. Stay in short, stay informed.